So yeah, 6'7's out for the week. So he asked me to just help him with sensational talk, and to do a little bit of what he does, respectfully, of course. Sensational. You weren't ready for that, were you?
I was not, but I appreciate the intro. Thank you for coming here, my guy.
You know what? Thank you for having me, brother.
How
And
you?
just the intro is something a little creative that I thought I'd just do because it's a little different.
So tell me about Jonathan. Jonathan, before the comedian. Who is Jonathan?
You know what? Jonathan before the comedian is just a guy who's looking to really find his place in the world, man. I've been through, like, we all went through the pandemic in 2020.
hmm
I was dating somebody important back then in 2020. I really thought that relationship was going to last. And when she wanted to part ways and go her way, I created a bucket list and reinvented Jonathan. So Jonathan from like 2020 to Jonathan now is two different people. He's more like thinking of his family, his friends, his career, and then even trying a new career. Comedy just was something that I tried out and ended up being really good at it.
So how I came across you is there was this video that was posted and where you went on a date and you were stood up by this young lady. So tell me, how did that come about, and what you think may have led to that?
Like, well, what it was is like you get out of a relationship or whatever, and you kind of take your time to heal and try to want to get back into the dating game, and that's what I was doing. I was on an app, I was trying to match up with people and trying to see what connects, and I thought this conversation with one woman was going to be great, and that was going to be a good thing, and it just she kind of ghosted me, and I literally was thinking that after 5 years, you show up to her, you pick a nice restaurant, decent restaurant, you pick a meal that someone thinks they're telling you they like, you show up with flowers, trying to be a gentleman, trying to bring it old school, and they don't even show up. I literally left there like, oh, ladies, what did I do wrong? Hoping ladies were going to give me a response. The entire world ends up giving me a response. Some good, some bad, and for some people they'll say, that's a big L to take. Yeah, it might be, but sometimes through bad times, good things happen. And probably if that never happened, nobody would have ever known I was a comedian or done comedy or be where I am right now. To be honest, I wouldn't be sitting in this chair if it hadn't been for that video, because you would never know who I was.
Well, yes and no. I mean, you came about that way, but who knows how else I would have discovered you, later on down the line. Either way, when you were talking to this young lady, what app was this, by the way?
Oh, dude, we out here gonna give this app a little plug, a little free promo. It was Hinge. It was Hinge.
I've heard about that. I stay away from the app life now. That life is over for me. But out of all the apps, because there's others, right? There's the Tinder.
There's like OK Cupid or whatever. Christian Mingles, Farmers Only. I done them all. I'm not a farmer, but I tried them.
Is Christian Mingles only church women?
It is though, because I tried Christian Mingles in the beginning. Like I was like, because everyone's like, you want to find a good woman? Find a woman that's in church.
I feel like there may be some freaks up there. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Look,
I could be wrong.
Let's just put it this way: they may be praising the Lord on Sunday, but they might be doing some things on Saturday. They're gonna have to ask for forgiveness for on Sunday.
So let me ask you, right? Because I want to say that they had to be some kind of red flags during the conversation between you and this woman that ghosted you. Maybe you didn't pick up on the red flags, but and it's not necessarily always red flags, but was there anything that led you to believe that she may flake on you?
No, I mean we both. From what I can say about this woman, I'm not gonna say her name because I'm not gonna put her out there. But we both seem like the reason why we kind of probably match is because we both were career driven, and we work a lot. So I think that if I saw someone that works as much as I do, to me it's not a red flag. For other people, it might have been. I'm like, okay, she's got a job. She's always there doing her thing. Can't knock that. And there was nothing that told me like, oh, she's not gonna show up or she doesn't want to show up. Because I took the time to really get to know who she was, what she might be interested in. I try to make it a casual kind of meet up, date thing, where I'm like, yo, we can go for tacos, margaritas, have a good time. There's no obligation to where we have to like see each other afterwards, but sit down, get to know one another kind of thing. I mean, that's what I thought dating was about. I don't even know anymore because the world is such a different place. Dating might be just not even that anymore. Getting a pizza at somebody's house and just like Netflix and chilling. I don't know.
Do you have a type aesthetically? What?
I can't say aesthetically because I've dated a variety of different women, from everything from tall, short to skinny, to those who may be seen as like a bigger woman. I love them all. So it's not aesthetic. I think that there's going to be a connection with the vibe, the way we communicate, the way we talk, and what we talk about is what's going to draw me in. Like if you've got a kind heart and you are okay with just being open about who you are, and I'm transparent about who I am, it's a great thing.
Dating is tough already, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up with a disability. I grew up with Tourette syndrome. I was diagnosed at 7. Of course, I wasn't looking at women at that age, but I always felt like it would be a dark cloud over my head because people wouldn't understand, and I was different, and I was looked at as I was just the weird kid. Now you have
Cerebral palsy. So here's the thing. When it came to dating, I never talked about it. The same thing you're talking about, the dark cloud. I feel like there's a stigma on people with disabilities when it comes to dating.
mm-hmm.
I feel like that I felt like if I talk about it openly and put on dating in my, hey, I got cerebral palsy, that it'll eliminate me from the dating pool. Because, sometimes women have an expectation of what they want in a partner. They got to be a certain height or make a certain amount of money. And if you're already coming in the game at a disadvantage, which some people look at a disability as,
Mm-hmm.
it may be really difficult for you to find your match or to find someone who really will get that. And I don't know how to say this like in a way that will even sound like it's okay. I think that certain people, when they think of the word disability, they're thinking, oh my gosh, I can't have a family with this person because what if this disability gets passed on? I can't deal with that.
That was one of my fears too, as I told you yesterday. Like that's not something that I would want to pass to my kids because I know how hard it was on me as a parent. And for that reason, I think for only that reason, because I would never, bullying is real. Kids unalive themselves because a lot of these kids ain't built to handle it. I'm still here at 43 years old. I took it, but everybody's not going to be like us.
It's true because it's like, and they're going to say, well, you're a person with a disability. You should be able to guide that kid. People get bullied for not having disabilities, for not having the cool shoes or not having the proper haircut and the amount of friends. So imagine you being I can't, realistically, it's going to sound funny. If I have a child with cerebral palsy, if I'm ever in a life where I have a family and I have a child with cerebral palsy, it's not like I can put them in the latest clothes, have them wear Jordans, and everything's gonna be all right. They're gonna be like, no, that kid still got a little bit of a limp. He might have them $300 Jordans, but that's it. That's not gonna make him cool. I gotta look at it this way. Like I gotta make a certain amount of money to where they can be like, okay, he handicapped, but his dad's rich.
Yeah,
we with him because he got the money. I can't be like broke and disabled. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. That's 2 disabilities. I can't afford that.
Yo.
You weren't ready for that shit, were you?
So I'm not going to pretend like I have an idea. I would like you to educate me on, your disability and for people who may not know what it entails,
All right, so cerebral palsy there's cerebral palsy, there's Earth's palsy, there's ball palsy, there's a lot of different palsies. I've been fortunate enough to have mild cerebral palsy, so I'm able to walk and run and do things. There's some people that have cerebral palsy who are confined to a wheelchair. And sometimes with that disability, you could become deaf or blind. I'm fortunate, I'm neither of those things. So I hear when people talk shit. I use this material for my stand-up.
And that's good material, man.
It is, because it's like some people whisper like, oh my gosh, this guy's already drunk and he showed up to the bar. Like I've had it where, kid you not, true story, my brother had gotten married in Hawaii, a destination wedding. Shout out to my brother. And we went to a bar after the wedding and they were like, oh, I kept, they go around the table, what would you like to order for a drink? And I'm like, oh, miss, I'd like to get a Heineken. She's like, she just ignores me and keeps going, you and you. I'm like, I'm ordering a drink. Why are you ignoring me? And so at a certain point, she goes, my boss tells me I can't serve you right now. I was like, can you bring your boss here so I can explain to your boss I'm not drunk? I think most women don't even realize I have cerebral palsy because I'll talk about it. They just assume I'm a drunk guy with a really good sense of humor. I don't know how to play that. I literally remember one time I went on a first date with a woman. We went to the Yard House. We had some drinks. It's like this kind of sports bar place. And she, the next day, I'm back at her place, and I'm trying to figure out how to go to the bathroom. She goes, "Oh my gosh, you're still drunk." I'm like, "No, this is permanent." What I meant to explain at the bar was, I jokingly said, "In 9 months, if your kid comes out with that helmet, maybe it's mine. If it doesn't, you're fine." You've never had a comedian on your show before.
I definitely never laughed this much because I get it, man. It's like, when, like I was telling you, Kevin Hart had that stand-up Laugh at My Pain. We go through things with these disabilities, but you have a way of turning that into humor, and I think it's genius, man. Not everybody can do that, and not everybody can laugh at themselves. Like, some people are born in a way, and it just screws with their mental for their entire life, and they're never able to get out of that. But you turn that into laughter, man.
It actually took honestly like years of understanding that, because there was times where I would, feel self-conscious about certain things, like, oh, people are not going to think I can do this because I'm disabled. I'm not going to ever play in the NFL. I got the build for it, but I ain't got the speed. So it's like, yo, let me go with what I can do. I know I can do, and then that's make people laugh. And I think that at the same time, with me getting into the genre of comedy, like you said, educating people about people with disabilities, because there's people put you in a box. They assume disabilities are always going to be things like, autism. Disabilities can always be like Down syndrome, and they have a certain tone they talk to you, like, "Hey, buddy," and I'm like, "Motherfucker, I done explained to you how your shit."
Hey, buddy.
The "hey, buddy," like, that's a great thing, pal. I'm like, what the are you talking to me like this for? Why are you speaking so loudly? I'm not deaf. It's weird because people just they put you in a box. They assume, oh, I knew somebody. And they'll ask you, "Do you know my brother Jimmy?" "How the do I know your brother Jimmy?" "He's got Down syndrome." "Why do you think I would know him?" "Because he has Down syndrome." It's not like we go to a meeting every Tuesday and talk about how we could with normal people.
One big family.
One big ass meeting, like, yo, hey, so this Tuesday, be extra handicapped. I'm going to fall. You just need to be incoherent for most people.
Do you feel like this has held you back in any way from furthering yourself in the comedy field, or do you feel that it's actually a plus?
It's a plus, but I don't see. The thing is, like, a lot of people will say, I remember I was speaking to a comic. He hosts a mic in LA. It's called Big Chillin'. It's shout out to him, Jonathan, and my boy Roger Smith. And Roger was like a mentor to me when I was coming up in the comedy game. He asked me, like, what kind of comic do you want to be? Do you want to be a comic, a disabled comic, or do you want to be a comedian with a disability? And it was a real question that I hadn't like legitimately asked myself. I do talk about, my disability as content or as comedic jokes, but then I also talk about real things. And I was like, yo, no, I'm a comedian with a disability. It's like, surprise. Free parking pass.
I need one of those.
If I'm ever back in Florida and I get my shit together, we just go get on the car.
I need one of those.
They ask you, you're my driver, okay?
When did you make the decision to take the route of comedy? What year was it? What made you say?
So it was the tail end of 2020. It goes back to just getting out of the relationship with this woman, who, for all intents and purposes, was an amazing person. Is an amazing person. And what it was is it really broke my heart, and I was like, man, I don't want to do stupid things or just try to jump into relationships that don't matter. I want to make a bucket list so that when I go back to dating, I have something interesting to talk about, something that really describes me as a person. So I did indoor skydiving. First time I ever wore a helmet in my life. I know you're thinking, it can't be the first time you ever wore a helmet. First time I ever wore a helmet in my life, bro. It was like, okay, cool. Because they're like, for the safety reasons, you got to put this helmet on. I'm like, I don't know. Somebody's out here laughing on their ass off. But I also try stand-up comedy because it was something that I always wanted to do or give a try to. I was like, my friends and family is like, you funny guy. And I was like, well, what harm could it be if I try it? And just trying that and then doing a set and then wanting to be on the show, and then people are like, how long have you been doing this? You're really good at this. You're a really good comedian. You've got experience. I'm like, all of 30 minutes. That's all I've done. And just knowing that people resonated with what I've said, and they go, you're different. I'm like a DEI comic. You weren't expecting me to be out there on the ticket. You're thinking, oh, he's going to talk about family and kids. No, he's going to talk about his life and his experience. And people go, that's not funny. I'm like, it is if you were there. You
That's
know,
true.
the amount of times where I've had people go, oh my gosh, your parents must be so proud of you. And I'm like, why? Because you have a job with the polio and all. What? How do you fix your mouth to say that with such braveness? I once got mistaken for a kid that was a, what do you call that shit? It was those commercials, the kids that have cancer, the Make-A-Wish children.
Make-A-Wish Foundation.
This lady
kids.
literally walked up to me and she's like, you remind me of the kids on TV. I was like, the Feed the Children? She was like, no, the ones that wear the nice clothes. I was like, Make-A-Wish?
That wear the nice clothes.
Yeah, because you know when they're on the TV show, they're like all wearing like little suits, like we're trying to live. I'm sorry. They're like, we're trying to live. Donate to us. I was like, you said Make-A-Wish, kid? I just got cerebral palsy. The worst is I fall and I can't get back up on my own. I'm not dying.
You know what's funny? That reminds me of those commercials that I used to see with the I think it was Life Alert, that I've fallen and I can't get up.
Dude, the amount of times my friends
Those were hilarious. I didn't mean to laugh.
I laugh at them though, because they're like, hey yo, you fall one more time, we're getting you a Life Alert.
Yo, the
She's, what's wrong, Mrs. Smith? I can't get up right now. I've fallen in the kitchen. Like, what are you doing in the kitchen by yourself?
I don't know. I shouldn't have laughed, man. I'm going to hell.
No, you're not. I tell people that in my stand-up. I'm like, yo, yeah, you laugh, you're going to hell, but at least you're having a good time with it.
How was your first stage? How was your first set? How did that go?
Like first time ever being like on like a show. Like
Did it go good? Did you bomb? Like how did?
So open mics, you're supposed to bomb. I've never really bombed. There's things that didn't hit. I can't say 100% bomb, but like my first show, oddly enough, my friends and family came out to support that. I don't really remember because I had so many drinks that I remember being on stage and seeing myself outside of my body, tell these jokes, and then getting off stage. And then when I saw the recording, I was like, yo, this is really good. This is really good.
Where did did you post a recording anywhere?
Yeah, it's on my social media, like on my Instagram, my TikTok, or whatever.
I gotta go back and look. I gotta go back. It's
so old, but like you have to scroll through so much stuff to find it now.
I got time.
I'll have to like scroll through it myself and send it to you again. And it's one of those things where I was like, man, I can't say 100% like this is what I was supposed to do in life, but I can say I'm in a place in my life where I'm happy doing it. Because a lot of people work their jobs and never really happy with it, and they're making the money. I think that I still work my 9 to 5. I'm still a regular guy. So if anybody ever comes into like my regular job, they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're that guy." You ever get it when they shove the phone in your face and be like, "This you?" Because that's what happens to me.
Got it yesterday. Got it yesterday. Day before that and the day before that.
It's like I'm like, and I try to tell people it's not me, but it's black folks that be seeing me, and you know, black people don't forget a face.
No.
So they won't know your name, but they know your face.
But it feels good though. It feels good to be recognized for good stuff. Like some people they're recognized for negative stuff they do, bad publicity and all that. When people see me, it's all love. Some people just want to say what's up. Some people just want to take a picture, and I'm okay with that. Like this is what I want to say. This is what I signed up for when I signed up for
it all. I can say I agree with all those things too, man. But I don't know if like I ever really feel like I signed up for it because I was going from wanting to be a comedian just to make people laugh to like people DMing me from across the country, around the world, and not knowing what to say to all that. Because it's something that like for a guy who you would think as a comedian who wants to be on stage, who's in front of an audience, you'd be able to emotionally be ready for that. I was not. Because I would hear, you read. I don't know if you read any of your comments. I read some of the comments, some that were good, some were negative. And as much as a strong person you might be on the character, some of it gets you like, damn, like they really thought this of me. Like
people are cold, man. People are cold.
And it's just like, I read it and was like, wow, okay, cool. And I appreciate everybody who ever supported, ever said some kind word or followed me just because they're like, yo, he's really a real person. But it's never something you're really ready for. Even if you sign up for doing this kind of entertainment or being quote unquote a content creator or influencer, you're never really ready for how people are going to perceive you and how they're going to take it. Because some people may be looking for like something that might be the bad side of you versus generally believing you can't always be that positive. I'm not, because there's some days I don't post and that's not a positive day. But there's days where I'm like, hey, I want to say this message or I have this content or I have this joke that I want to just put out there. Because there's somebody probably sitting at their home going, if it wasn't for what you do or what I do, they may have not smiled today. And that's what makes a difference, I guess.
The content we put out, it made me realize that you change the lives of people that you may never see ever in your life. And the way, they relay that to you is via DMs. And I love reading these long storybooks that they write me because like I'm clueless. Like sometimes I just post videos and you could post the simplest thing and it brings somebody out the
resonates.
darkness.
Yeah, it resonates with somebody. There's people who've DM'd me and they're like, oh, my brother or my sister has cerebral palsy, and I've never seen someone advocate for that or be in the open like this. And that's something that hits me because it's not like I thought I was the only person with this. It's just I didn't realize me being me and doing what I do was a level of representation for other people. And looking back at it now, especially because that time frame was like 2 years ago, yeah, there isn't too many people with disabilities in the forefront doing it or being known for doing comedy or being an entertainer.
Yeah, doing it at a high level.
Yeah, and I think that it does provide representation because I remember I met someone who their kid had cerebral palsy, was probably like 8 or 9 years old, and he was telling me, he talked to me, he met me, he's like, you're working a job, you're being this, and that. He said to me, and it almost really got to me. He was like, "You're the example I want my son to see, like the fully functioning person in society, living his life, doing his thing is what I want him to be." And I'm like, that doesn't come from me being me. That comes from my parents, my mother instilling certain things in me, telling me that, hey, you will not be able to do X, Y, and Z, but you can do all these other things. And you're going to be this kind of person. And this is the way you should move in the world. And without her instilling those in me, I don't think I would have the confidence to touch a stage or tell a joke or be me.
Let me go back to the whole viral video, right? After that whole thing took off and it went, because there were a lot of people who stitched that videos, reacted to that videos. Were there women to show up in your DMs, saying that, hey, I'm available, I'm free, I'm single? Did you get a wave of that, or what was the aftermath of that
I
video?
did get a wave of that, like, because there's a host, Kendra G. She,
I know, I see her. She's always African American young lady that
Yeah.
she always has these video interviews. I think she's like a dating coach or something
a
like
dating
that.
host or something like that. And I remember she like DM'd me, and at the time I was like so panicky because you're not used to this exposure, you're not knowing what to do next. She low key invited me to the show, but I couldn't do it. My friends were like, you should go on the show, you should do it.
It's a great platform.
It is. But I was like, I couldn't see myself doing that right then and there, only because I was still trying to figure out the impact of all this, like this dating and this comedian. I'm like, I don't know how to perceive this. I don't know what to believe. And she was like, well, ladies, low key, since he's not gonna, he hasn't really responded doing the show, just DM this man. So I had all these DMs that some you could never see because your social media platform will only show you a certain amount.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some people who were like, yeah, I'd love to go on a date with you. And I've gone on dates with a few people that were in my DMs that I thought were great or nice people. Nothing bad ever happened. We may have like just gone different directions, but I think it was not something I was 100% like really ready for. Because, I grew up wanting to do things organically. Like if we meet at like a grocery store, or it sounds weird to meet in the app, you kind of like, you match for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know who you are. You don't know who they are. You get to know them. I think that with people following my DMs, they took whatever that little couple of moments of my life and assumed that's who I was 24/7. Although there's a lot of great elements with that, I just felt like, man, I want to match with somebody or meet with someone somewhere where they don't have to really know I'm that comedian or that guy.
But that's the thing, when you have an online presence, all people know is what you show them.
Mm-hmm.
If you show them asshole, that's how they're gonna view you. If you show them that he's this hopeless romantic, nice guy down in the dumps that's been hurt and ghosted, that's what they're gonna know you as. So
yeah, and some women have said some things to me that like, oh, like I was giving you a chance because you couldn't find a date. I'm like, wow.
So they turned it on you.
Yeah, just because I was just not willing to go on the same page that they were going on. It was just at that point I was like, you know what? Let me just not be in these DMs. Let me just leave them alone because it's not it's not worth it to know who's genuine and who's not.
What has dating been like now, as of late? Have you fallen back from Hinge or?
I deleted Hinge, bro. I
Oof.
had to.
It's probably a
Man.
good move.
It was probably the best move I did in my life. Like I deleted that.
You gotta go kick it in a bar, man.
The bar scene. I don't even know if that's right too, though.
Yeah, well, maybe.
And it may not be. Just because they at the bar don't mean they single.
Yeah,
They could
yeah.
be drinking away some trouble.
That's true. I never looked at it that way.
Because you never know. Like you could go, oh, this girl's with her friends, and they could be drinking it because their man did something or their partner did something they didn't like. So we're having a girls' night, and I run into a guy. I deleted Hinge, man. I was like, yo, I'm not gonna be one of those success stories that just happened.
Don't make me ask you to open your phone, see what dating apps you got on it.
Look, I could open my phone. I'll tell you, there's no dating apps on there, man. It's all social media stuff. For a while, I took a step back from dating because I was like, yo, it just after that experience, it was weird. I couldn't see myself trying again because it was like, yo, the whole world had a perspective of me, and it wasn't like it was bad or good. It was just some people thought good things, some people thought bad things. I think the only reason why I went viral was some dude on like Twitter took my video and was like, "This isn't the way you're supposed to act as a man."
What?
And yeah, they got over like a lot of views, and the next thing you know, it was on World Star. They didn't know who my name was. World Star was like, "Man got stood up."
Damn, I didn't hear that name in a while. World Star. I used to go on that faithfully. That was like my that was my news. That was my Fox.
You're like, what's
5
on the news today? World Star? What you telling me is going on? They did that, and I remember Spoken Word and a bunch of other things did a little piece on me. It was what really kind of like had me step back was that one time I got a DM from a girl who was working for like New York Post as a commentary writer, and it was like she wrote all this like huge paragraph story, like I'd like to write a story about you, and I was like that's a little too much for me, and I didn't respond. But an article came out in the New York Post about the event, and I knew it was big when older white folks was DMing me and calling me like, "Yo, is this you?"
I didn't even know it went to that.
Yeah, it was like a digital article that was on me. I was astonished. And my friends were like,
In the New York Post?
In the New York Post.
Damn.
I was like, okay, this is now you see why I had to take a step back. Because my own girl was like, my aunt knows that I know you, but she doesn't know you and said you're in the article in New York Post. She sent me an article where I was featured in.
Let me ask you this. Are you afraid of success? Like are you afraid of fame?
I think that I like to be well known. I don't know if I necessarily want to be famous, and there's a big difference in that. Because if you be famous, you have to be careful how you move, where you go out. You may have to send people to do things for you that you want to do yourself. I'd rather be like the kind of well-known person. If you see me on the street, you look at me and go, he looks familiar. I don't know why. But then when I leave or you leave, 15 minutes like, that's the guy from such and such. I should have stopped to talk to him because he looked familiar. That's the kind of notoriety I want. I don't want to be like a huge... It sounds weird. I would never want to be a huge star, but if it happens, I'm not going to knock it. But I'd love to be one of those guys behind the scene writing really great material or being part of a show or even doing just a small comedy special.
I would love to see you out there.
Netflix, if you hear me, we could break a deal. You ain't got to pay me what you pay like all the other cats. I'll take like a free vacation and like 15 grand and you'll get the best special you've ever seen.
You got to get this man definitely more than 15 grand. We got to up that price.
We're going to start the 15 grand. Because, like, the vacation is going to cover the difference in the 15 grand. Because I didn't tell you where I was going yet, so you never know.
So I got to tell the people this, right? We met up yesterday, and
shit, you can tell that, right?
This brother thought that I was imaginary. This brother thought that he was being set up, catfish, bamboozled.
Could you take it from a guy who's been ghosted? That is going to be in the back of his mind every once in a while. I was like, man, I'm all the way out here. What if this shit ain't real? What if this dude just like someone has a fake profile and they just seem to be him?
Like you thought I was gonna kidnap you and take you away?
Not kidnap him, take it away, but they'll see a pretty girl and then there'll be a situation like, hey, he told me to come for you, and me being dumb. Well, you're very pretty. I might just go with you anyway. Next thing you know, I got like one kidney and shit. I already walk with a limp. Surgery's not gonna be great for me.
And that's how they get you too, man. They'll use women to draw you in, or they'll use kids to draw you in.
Yeah.
But nah, man, you safe, brother. I'm very real. I don't know if I'm real. Again, I may be digital right now. This may not be real.
Here's the thing. He may be an AI assumption, and we may not even be here. This may all be a Matrix thing.
It's a simulation, baby.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Because none of it's actually ever real.
So, with the comedy, right?
Yeah.
How hard are you going with it?
Dude, I treat this like it's a second job. Not like a second part-time job. I treat it like a second full-time job. So if I do 40 hours at my regular job, I'm doing 40 hours of creating and making jokes and trying to get on stages.
Yeah, well, that's what I should have asked you. How often are you out displaying your talent, or like at open mics, or
Open mics, man, I'm there every week, man, in certain places, and I'll be there. Honestly, when I go to an open mic, I may spend 3 hours in an open mic. You do every open mic. There's like an hour for people to do their little sets. I may be there for 3 hours. 2 hours, I may be working on my material. The last hour, I may sit back and watch other people.
in this day and age with social media, I've seen there's a lot of creators who really took off because of social media now. Like, it's not like it was before. Like, you have a couple videos go viral on TikTok, Instagram, and you off. I think because when I see videos pop up of you, again, you and I speaking right now, speaking yesterday, I hear the effortless funny in you. Like, it's not forced, and I'm not being forced to laugh. Like, it's your life, but you're making it funny. I haven't seen videos like that of you pop up, and I feel like I should. Like, even if you have somebody go record, it don't matter
Yeah.
what it comes out. It don't matter if you bomb, God forbids. Just put it out there, man.
Yeah.
Just put it out there. People want to know that you're out there, and if you're in these clubs or you at these open mics, the people that are there see you, but the internet's bigger than all that.
Yeah. I think what it is, though, is at the same time, it's like there's a lot of space where you go through content, you see a lot of other comedians, you see a lot of other things. So I may not be in your algorithm yet. I'm working on it, because every day that I work on it, I can't go, well, why am I not there? Because I always look at it this way, where I try to explain to people I know, when it comes to being a comedian doing this thing, I believe everybody has their opportunity and their time for success. Think of it as like a merry-go-round. So you may not be successful right now. It might not be your time to shine, but it will be your turn eventually. You just got to be patient, and you got to support those who are already in their level of success. Don't knock them because they're at a level that you want to be at. Just wait your turn, because your time to shine, your level of success will come to you. So I'm going to grind to keep telling these jokes, whether they're posted or not, whether they're skits that people see a lot of them, whether they don't see a lot of them. I'm going to continue to do that because that's who I am. And I know that eventually, with me continually putting in that work, whether you see it or not, it's going to get me to where I need to be.
So beyond comedy, what are some of your hobbies? What are things that you enjoy to do outside of
Outside of comedy,
comedy and your 9 to 5?
I'm a foodie, man. I love food. I love trying restaurants. I love just trying something that's different than what I've had. I love to read, man. I'm a huge avid reader. I think that's what gives me the ability to have the quick wit with comedy, because I'm reading certain books and I'm reading certain things, and I'm like, hey, this will work. This is funny. This is an idea. And I think that sometimes certain jokes that comedians tell, you get the ones that are like silly, stupid jokes. You're like, okay, I'm going to laugh at that because it's silly. And then you get those ones that go, wait a minute. There was a hidden joke inside that joke. That's funny.
You ever get heckled, or have you gotten heckled before?
I do. I got to send you the video of me getting heckled, man.
You definitely got to be quick with it to come back. Like, if me, again, I can't do what you do, but if you heckle me, I'm off the stage. You got it. You won.
Look, we could do this thing. We could do like what they call it, undercover boss, or a job swap. You know how they used to have house swap or husband swap? We could do job swap. I'll do Sensational for a week, and you can do stand up for a week.
I definitely cannot.
I promise you, it'll work.
I definitely cannot do stand up.
Look, it'll work. You'll get a whole new set of followers because they'll think you're funny doing the stand up, and I will do.
It's an art, though. It's an art. It's an art.
But everything that people do, they do well, is an art.
Right.
When other people look at it, it looks simple. You said, hey, you make it seem effortless. It's not effortless because I got to think about it. And, I got to know that there's certain topics that are not meant for me to speak on that can still be funny, but they're not meant for me to speak on. They're not my wheelhouse. They're not my box. And I think that you have to have the ability to know your type of funny and the kind of funny that generates the kind of respect and audience you want to have.
Comedy is one of those things, I guess, with everything, but like, it's either you got it or you don't.
Yeah, but that's true of like everything in life, though. If you want to be a basketball player, a musician, or if you want like even a good relationship, you've got to have the proper tools. And just like anything in life, you can learn how to do these tools. You can learn to be this way. You can learn to be a comedian. You can learn to be a great content creator. You can learn to be a better person. It just takes you saying, hey, I'm willing to take those steps. Because before all this shit, I wasn't a comedian. I was a guy who told jokes to my friends and family. They found my shit funny, but I was never the guy you wouldn't play. Yeah, we can see him on stage one day.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people do that, and a lot of people can take that the wrong way because there's a difference between being comedian funny and your family saying, yo, he's funny. He's naturally funny, like talking like there's different elements to funny that some people just don't. Just because you're funny to your family don't mean it's going to translate on stage.
Oh no, see, no, this is what the thing is. You got to have a good family. My family will tell me when my jokes ain't shit.
As they should.
As they should.
Like there's not a lot of people that would do that.
Yeah, like they'll tell me like, yo, that's not funny. I'm laughing my ass off, but you're going to write that one again.
But funny is different to different people. Like, for example, a lot of people I know, they don't really like Dane Cook. I think Dane Cook is hilarious. I like all the animated shit. Mm-hmm. Like, I like Sebastian Maniscalco.
Okay.
He's funny to me. As to where some comedians that look like us, I don't find as funny. Sometimes.
We're not gonna do that.
We're not gonna say no name, but that's just my opinion. Yeah. Again, funny is different. So even if your family say that joke sucks, I might find it hilarious. Like a lot of people to me that look like me, they think Dane Cook is corny. But me, I get the jokes. It's funny. So
well, it goes back to something I said too, because when you're in these comedy clubs and you're doing these shows, there's a lot of people. You never know who's going to be the next up and coming person. Mm-hmm. You might do a show, and that next person you did a show with on the set could be doing a TV show next. And my thing is, I always tell them, although you may not find that person funny, that comedian has an audience somewhere. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it. So even if we don't find them funny, there's an audience for them. There's a fan base for them. We just may not have been it. Doesn't mean they're not funny. We didn't feel their humor. Mm-hmm. And my family will tell me when I'm not being funny. And I don't think it's going to be like, yo, it's, that wasn't funny. You shouldn't tell that joke. It's just like, I got it. I saw where you're trying to be funny, but you need to work at it.
Some stuff just need like minor tweaking. Mm-hmm. Like, again, I'm not the writer guy. Only you would know how to tweak it. It's me as the person who's consuming it. I can tell you where I feel like it didn't hit. You have to, in this, you definitely have to be able to take constructive criticism. Mm-hmm. People give it to me all the time, and sometimes I take it and I incorporate it into videos. Sometimes I'll be like, what I'm doing is working. Sometimes you got to set that ego aside and say, they may be onto something, and then change, and then it may work.
Yeah, but I think also sometimes it's, you probably get it way more than I do. Like a lot of opinions that don't really matter. Like people are just speaking on what you're doing. I don't know whether because they feel like it's their place to, let me be that quote-unquote voice of reason, even though they have no relativeness to what you're saying or what you're doing. They're just saying, I don't like what this person said, so I'm going to speak up and say they should be the opposite.
Recently, Casey Anthony, I don't know if you're familiar
with the case, yeah.
But she popped back up. All I did was post a little clip and say, oh, you back again? Or something like that. You wouldn't believe how many people said, oh, you should know better than to post that. All you doing is giving her more promotion. I'm like, what are you talking about? Or the dad that slapped the little girl who bullied the son. Mm-hmm.
That was a
First of all, though. I only gave an opinion. I never said whether he was right or wrong. I said, me personally, I wouldn't do it because there's consequences that would come. This is my kid. I do that to any kid underage, whether it's male or female. They are locking me up. People got upset and was DMing me over that because I said that. I'm not, okay, you may feel like the girl deserved it, and she may have. However, there will be consequences that comes with that if you decide to go that route.
Yeah, because I saw that video. I think I saw it when you posted and you did your thing to it. I was like, that's a hard-ass slap. Mm-hmm. Like, that was like almost, forgive me for saying it, a pin slap. And I was like, yo. And the way everyone kind of stood around and then the girls like called the police, but no one else interjected, no one else said anything. That's a bigger statement in itself.
I mean, he may be locked up right now. It won't be hard to find him. It's never hard to find.
Not anybody. If you really want to search for somebody who's done something that's on tape, you'll find it. Uh, it reminds me though, when I first went viral, man, the passport bros were looking for me. I didn't know this was like that much of a thing until I kept seeing compilations of myself with people like, yo, Jonathan, get your passport, come to Colombia. I don't even habla español fluently.
That video really went, man.
And I know it's just a thing, man. It's one of those things that's like getting struck by lightning or trying to put lightning back in a bottle.
Lightning back in a bottle, right?
You're not going to ever be able to do the same thing twice. Because if you do, then they know it's manufactured. But if you're able to take what you've done once and show people what you really can do as a range and show them, hey, I'm more than just a guy who got stood up. I'm also a comedian, a human being, a loving family member. There's a lot of aspects to me. Just stick around to watch those things and make your decision whether you want to continue to follow, what I'm doing.
Looking back at that, do you think that you missed an opportunity in any sense? Do you feel like you didn't take advantage of it to its fullest capacity when it happened?
You know what? I don't think I look back at it like that. I look back at how it just changed my kind of trajectory of this comedy career. People are like, man, you should have came out with merch. I thought about it. I toyed with the idea, shirts and beanies, but then I was like, it might be a little tacky. I like wearing the merch that I came out with because I thought it was cool. But looking back at it, I was like, man, how do I contain this? How do I do this the right way? How do I show people who I am as a comedian? Because there was comments in the comments like, oh, this dude's sitting here reading the comments, getting great material for his next show. And I don't think I regret looking back on it, regret not making certain moves or making certain decisions, because things are going to happen a certain way regardless. I think that I went from a guy who nobody really knew at 500 something followers. I can tell you the exact number, 577 followers is what I had before this video went viral.
And you have now?
Like 14K. And it was that was over a matter of like 1 week.
That's on Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram. TikTok ended up doing 16.8 now currently. And then like Facebook, old people are just like, hey, you're kind of that young guy. Click, click. And it was just, I would never expect it. I don't regret any moments of that happening or like saying, hey, I should have done this, I should have done that. Because the way I look at it is, even with me stepping into comedy, none of this was ever really 100% planned as a comedian. I didn't know whether I was going to be well received, successful, because a lot of people, especially with being a person of color and disability in general, you don't know how you're going to be perceived. Because you don't know whether they're expecting when you touch the stage to talk about a certain genre or a certain thing that not everyone can relate to. I can't say I regret doing anything or saying like, oh, I should have taken this opportunity. I'm at the point in my life where life is going to take you a certain way. How you perceive it, how you handle it, how you recover from whatever the issue is or whatever it is up to you. And if you're really meant to be a certain success or a certain level, you're going to be there no matter what decision you make because it's already made out for you. So that's how I look at it. Whether I made a different decision and went a certain way with this, then yeah, however successful I'm going to be or whatever mark I hit in success for myself is already predestined in some way. I just got to learn how to, accept it, tolerate, and remain humble. That's the biggest thing I'm learning from this. Remain humble, still be the same me that you could approach me on the streets and be like, yo, you're that guy. And I'll have that conversation with you. Occasionally in LA, I ride the bus. I've had conversations. Look, I've ridden the bus and have conversations with dudes that look like they would be thug dudes. Be like, you that guy. And I'm like, oh, what guy? Oh shit, I shouldn't have rode the bus today. And they'll be like, no, your video, man. I saw it. It got to me. And these dudes are like big dudes that look like they weren't supposed to have the emotions they had towards a video, but they did. And I'm like, wow, you stopped and tell me this kind of changed your perspective or made you feel, because they'll say, you said the things that I wish I could say, but they won't let us say as men. And I'm like, really? Because half the internet disagree with you, buddy. But, coming back beyond just this video being this, somehow I kind of became like the poster boy for men's mental health. Because there's so many restitched videos of me with men's mental health, themes that like people would be like, I would open my own freaking, social media pages and see my own videos stitched into something else, attached to something else. I'm like, am I supposed to see this when I open my own TikTok?
How is your mental health right now currently?
My mental health is to be honest, outside of the comedy and everything like that, it's good. It could be better, but it's good. I think it's just there was a lot of things going on in my personal life in the last couple of weeks that kind of tested my strength. And I had to just realize that, it may just be bad situations, doesn't lead to a bad life. I think coming back from like learning about myself and understanding myself, saying, "Hey, pull yourself back," because the old version of me would be like, "Oh, everything's not going the way I want it to. This has to be really bad, or something really worse is going to happen." Me kind of growing and mentally and being a different person, going, "Yo, okay, these aren't that bad. They're bad situations, but you're better than this. You have the tools to overcome this. You know what to say. You can reach out to somebody when you have to, kind of thing. And you got to be that way now."
When the last time you had a good cry?
You're talking
A good,
before the
healthy,
alcohol or after?
a good, healthy, hearty, ugly face cry. Sometimes we need that, man. Sometimes,
Um,
listen,
a really good cry may have been about a year ago. So, because my mother passed away about like I think almost 16, 17 years now, and every year of the anniversary of her death, I tend to keep myself to myself, and I let out pretty good cry. I don't care how that sounds in terms of people thinking I'm soft or simp or whatever.
never.
It is what it is, and I take that day where I let all those emotions out, whatever they may be, and then the next day I put myself back together. You become another functioning human being.
I
Uh,
don't. People, fortunately, my mom's still with me. I'm not looking forward to that day. I don't know how people ever recover from that. So, and
mm.
I don't believe that they actually ever do
I think
because
it's
you
more of an
only have one.
acceptance thing than a recovery thing. Like you learn how to. It, it, you lose a parent or a loved one like that. It's kind of like losing a limb. There's always going to be that imaginary limb that you're going to feel is there, but it's not going to be there. And for a long time after she passed, I felt like I became robotic. Like I just drove myself into work. I didn't hang out with society. And this was before comedy. And, little by little, I would meet and interact with people that would kind of bring me back to the world, remind me how to be part of society as a human being. And whether that had been a relationship, a friendship, or something dating, those elements and those certain people that come into your life that engage you, no matter how it ends or how successful it is,
Hmm.
brings you back to who you're supposed to be. So I'm grateful for those things, but it is a challenge.
And what about your dad?
We don't have the best relationship.
What the hell?
Well, Surrey apparently has daddy
What?
issues too.
What the? That was weird. I don't have a family.
Surrey's like, yo, I'm an orphan.
That was funny.
I have daddy issues, sir. I apologize. That's what Surrey was telling you.
Did you grow up without him,
Yeah,
or was he?
for majority without.
Okay.
Yeah. For large majority, but it is what it is. You can't change, the course of your past. You can only dictate what you're going to do for the future.
You feel like if you was there, your life would have been a little different?
I may never know, man. There's, when people ask those kind of questions, because even I've had my time, like, where people would ask me, what if you weren't disabled? What would you do? Like, I was like, yo, I'd be a sheriff or join the Marines.
I wonder, sometimes I wonder that also.
But I also learned that there's no real big point in make believing in a life that you're not gonna have. Like tell yourself, like, I know you said you have Tourette's. You probably imagine, what if I never had Tourette's? Would it really be a big difference in your life?
Well, I think mentally, confidence-wise, it would be different because I do want to know what it feels like to not have the urge to tick, to blink a lot, to twitch, to make sounds, to, shake my whole body. I would want to know what that feels like not have the urge because, even now as I sit through podcasts, like I do my best to control it to still try to make myself appear normal.
I would, yeah, I get that because sometimes I wouldn't. So like when I go on dates, I choose bars. So by the end of the day, people don't realize I'm walking funny because they're walking the same way. They've just had more drinks than I have. It's a thing. Like I know what that's like because I would people would tell me like, oh yo, what would you do if you didn't have cerebral palsy? I was like, I probably would have been like done something like want to go to the NFL, want to be a Marine, or want to do something crazy like be a firefighter or some shit. And I look back at it now and I'm like, yo, okay, I didn't get to do a lot of things that normal people would have done, like I don't know, properly ride a bike or rollerblade. We were talking about that the other day.
Can you ride a bike now? No.
Nah, like my ex-girlfriend tried to give me a Peloton once, and I knew it wasn't for me. She got it for Christmas. It was hers. She was just like, it's ours. I'm like, she brought this and this ain't got nothing to do for me. You really wanted these things. You could have just told me. I would have supported you buying it for yourself. No, it's those things don't really. As a kid, you know, you're growing up, you're thinking, damn, I can't. Other people are riding bikes. They're all, you know, rollerblading, skateboarding. After a while, you don't really miss those things. Like you don't miss what you've never done. Like, would I love to be play an action hero in a movie? The way they have CGI now, I'll be walking normal.
You could. I mean, with technology right now,
The way
technically you could.
they could just say, hey, the hero had an accident. That's why he's walking like this for the rest of the movie. It would work. It would work.
How do you feel about
DC?
love now?
You know what? I feel like love still exists. I feel it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. I'm open to falling in love. I'm just at the moment, you know, looking to make the genuine connections. You know, there's some amazing people out there, so you know, you never know. I might meet somebody at like a Walmart. No, I'm lying. I don't even really go to Walmart like that. Maybe you know, at a park or at work, or you know, I may run into someone who DM me and have a conversation and may fly halfway across the country just to meet them. It's all worth it.
Well, me personally, from listening to you and from talking to you now, I feel like you really have something there, and I'm not just saying that to say it. Sometimes love has to be put on hold, and it'll come. If it's going to come, it'll come.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, this world waits for no one, and I think you have a talent that needs to be displayed and just rocket you out of here, man. Again, we spoke about this. When you rocket out of here, you know, it puts you in a different class. So now
I was telling you about
different women, so you don't know what's genuine or not. But I think, you know, I think it's safe to say you've given love a fair shake, and you have something that you really wanna. You don't want to work this 9 to 5 no more. You wanna do what you love, which is comedy.
and just making people laugh generally. And if you can, they always say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
And that's it. It's very true.
I want to get to a level where I can do what I love, enjoy the moment, make people laugh, and just, I don't know, make the world a little bit funnier. Because people are already laughing at films and things that are videos they see of disabled people in a different light. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it's right, but if you can genuinely say, hey, I've gone to a comedy show, I saw a comic who has a disability, and I've got a different perspective for who they are now, or people with disabilities versus that one person I made at one time, that's all the difference.
So in 2025, we still early off in the year. What are we in, March? What can the people expect from Jonathan
throughout the rest of the year? Man, I'm going to put in a lot of work to make you laugh. It's going to be a lot of some blood, some sweat, and some fake tears if I have to. But I'm putting a lot of work. I'm gonna remain positive. I'm gonna try to put out some inspirational things, man. I mean, earlier I was sitting in the chair doing Sensational, so who would never thought I was gonna be doing that? Everything that's kind of come my way has been like the luck of a draw, but I've been very, 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 very grateful for every opportunity. Because think of it this way: had you not seen my video, you think I'd be sitting here at your table having this conversation?
Probably not, but I'm glad that it worked out that way, and very appreciative of you taking the time to even come out here. It means a lot to me. People who mess with me, I mess with them, and it's just
you gotta say pause when you say that one.
All right,
in this day and age, this day and age,
my fault.
You don't want to be in that other genre.
My fault.
Because what he meant to say is that if you're kind to him, he's kind to you.
Yeah. No pause.
No explicit extra things that people have talked about in the past.
So for people who don't know, tell them where they can find you at.
So it's Jonathan Does Comedy on almost every social media platform. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. What else is there? Facebook, there's Jonathan Does Comedy. OnlyFans, there's no OnlyFans. I'm fucking with y'all. Nobody really wants to see a disabled OnlyFans. I don't know if that's really a thing for most people. Some people are probably going to be Googling that right now. Does he have an OnlyFans?
Possibly.
I don't even know what kind of picture I'll put on there though. I really don't. Just a day in the life, like see if I fall today. If you like, send some flowers.
I might pay for that.
You would just to have a good laugh.
Pause. For us. My guy, I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Thank you for coming out.